They attach underneath.
Those things are a couple grand.
Yeah,
They're a couple $1,000.
They're not aluminum, they're plastic.
And they're knocking out facilities inside the GCC.
Yep.
Which is amazing that they're able to do this. So that, and I also, one more thing I'll tell you. I just read an interview with the U.S. Admiral in charge of the Persian Gulf, who said, even if we went in there with minesweepers, because of the new drone warfare, those minesweepers would be basically knocked out right away. It would take us at least 3 months to open the Gulf if we tried to do it with minesweepers.
And that's having to pull the wrecks back out.
So what you're saying is that the drones are a game changer.
Absolutely. At this point in time, the technology, the drones are a game changer. You don't need to have huge bases. You just take a couple thousand teenagers. You want revenge for your families getting hit. Yeah. There you go. And they're sitting on some tree on a mountaintop looking down there, and they're moving flying the drone.
So what you're saying is that makes it either improbable or impossible that we could navigate our way in there with Marines and put them on the shores of Keach Island or Karm, for example.
Well, they could come across, but I mean, they're going to take losses. Here, you could push the Iranians far enough back that you get them out of range, but that means you have to go in the mountains and you have to start fighting them in the mountains. And they're sitting there waiting. There's 100,000 Iranians dug into bases, and they're waiting for the American military to get them. They're literally what their Minister of Foreign Affairs said, we're waiting for you. They've been getting ready for 20 years, waiting to massacre whatever goes up there.
Let's go inside on Karg Island if we could. Let's walk over here. Gene, give me a pull-out and give me a magnification, if you can, of Karg Island so we can see it.
Beautiful map.
Yeah, talk to us about this and why this is suddenly what everybody's talking about.
Well, this is a very historic spot if we're going to look at that for tourists-wise. But this area right here is oil loading facilities. So they pump the oil in, they clean the oil up from sand, from whatever other chemical cleaning facilities, store it, and then the ships come up here and they fill the storage.
And this is where Iran's oil goes to China and all over the world.
But this isn't the only place. Now, Iran has 5 oil loading facilities. This is the main one. But if you take this out of Iran's hands or destroy it, that's not it. I mean, Iran still has others. It'll be damaged. But Iran can still load and ship oil.
But to do that, you're going to need Marines.
Absolutely. Marines, Airborne,
82nd Airborne, 101st
Rangers. Yeah. 101st Air Assault you can bring. But the problem is, look at this island. First of all, this airstrip, we bombed, the U.S. bombed this airstrip.
Yeah, and I think we may have some pics of those. Guys, you're welcome to put those up if you have them, by the way. We've got the video of this actually taking place. In fact, if we have it, here it is. You want to take a look at this? Let's put it up. There it is. Take a look at the monitor over there. This is what the U.S. military has put out. As you can see, it's unclassified. This is the bombing of Karg Island, and I guess what are they trying to do here, Stas?
There were military facilities at Karg Island. There's the airport area. Yeah. They bombed the airstrip. So now you can't bring in C-130s because there's only about 3,000 meters, and they need 3,500 meters. Feet in this case. So about 1,500 meters.
Right.
They need more strip to land safely. So your C-130s that can't deliver enough cargo. You've got most of your big planes can't land on it until it's repaired. And repairing it, consider how close that island is to the shoreline. It's going to be droned every single day. Any guys on here are going to be running around looking for a place to save their lives.
So last week when Hegseth and these guys say Karg Island's going to be the magic bullet for us, it's going to be the place where we can do this, you think that's bullcrap?
The problem in the West, in particular, along the leadership in the U.S. Specifically, is everybody's always looking for that silver bullet. There's never a silver bullet. It always has to be a big approach. It's always going to be expensive. There's always going to be multiple factors. There's not going to be one. We take this one island, we conquer everybody. We kill this one guy, we conquer everybody. It never works that way. But they're always looking for it because for people that want to think too hard, it's a simple answer.
But here's the problem. The United States thought this was going to be like the 12-Day War. In fact, they thought it was going to be half of the 12-Day War.
4 days.
Right? And they were going to be in and out of there. Now we're seeing this resistance from the Iranians who are really dug in, and they're doing a lot of damage. I think Mr. Trump feels a lot of pressure. I've got it. But here, I want you to listen to Arachi. This is Arachi talking to Margaret Brenner. She's a horrible reporter. reporter, like most of them are in the United States. You would think she's asking questions that were sent to her by Bibi Netanyahu, and here she is asking. Well, you'll see for yourself. Here she is asking Arachi, essentially, I believe, why don't you surrender and why don't you negotiate? And listen to his answer. Let's play that, Gene, if you got it.
President Trump said this weekend he is not ready to make a deal with Iran because the terms aren't good enough yet. His administration is saying this war could last another 3.5 weeks or so. Has Iran asked for a ceasefire?
No, we never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation.
She makes it sound with her question like it's the other way around. Like, we understand that you've reached out and you want to negotiate with the Trump administration. And he's like, no, they're calling us, which, by the way, there's new reporting just this morning by one of the best reporters in the business who's saying he has it on good authority that the U.S., through back channels, has reached out to Arachi and said, we're ready to deal. What do you want? And these guys are saying, no, we're not ready to deal. We're going to keep fighting.
As a matter of fact, the first reports of this happened day 5, day 6. They're reaching out to the Italians to get the Italians to talk to the Iranians, said, let's have a ceasefire. So they've been doing this for 2 weeks.
So here's where that gets this conversation. If it's true, and it looks like the Iranians are not willing to deal, what's left for Trump? But this scenario that you and I are explaining.
Look, Trump politically is going to take a massive hit, and the Republican Party is going to make a massive hit from this stupidity that they've unleashed on the world. The best thing right now is cut and run. Is say, okay, we won, mission accomplished, we're going home. Declare victory. Israel's going to continue getting hit because the Iranians aren't done. But, okay, so we've done everything we can for Israel. You're on your own.
Make them the bad guys.
So
we left, and they're still hitting and killing people.
And das vidanya. We're leaving. That's the best scenario.
That's a political solution.
That's a political solution. But the donor-owner class isn't going to be happy with Trump if they do that. Because they bought Trump to stand there to the end, right?
Why? Because they make money from war.
They make money from war. They have compromise. I'm pretty sure they have some kind of material on him or other people that,
And they want the oil.
And they want the oil.
Iran has one of the biggest oil reserves in the world.
There's the Greater Israel Project that they talk about now all the time that encompasses all of this.
So, all right, before we get too far into weeds with geopolitics, which I think is another fantastic conversation, by the way, can you give me the map, if you could, of the Kurdistan region? That orange area. Let me put this up for you. We're going to show you Kurdistan. Kurdistan, a lot of people around the world don't know this. Kurdistan is vast.
It is.
Look at everything you see in orange here, folks. That's Kurdistan. And as you can see, it's part of Iraq. It's part of Iran. It's part of Armenia. It's part of Syria. But most of all, it's Turkey. So of all the potential plans for getting boots on the ground, you say this is the primordial one. This is the best of the worst of the choices.
Well, the best one is Azerbaijan, but the second best is through Kurdistan. Right. So these are the two. Either way.
So you say Azerbaijan is one, and then
go through Iranian Kurdistan is the second.
Interesting.
Now the Kurds inside Iran have said no, we're not going to do this. But the exiled Kurdish parties from Iran that are in Iraq said, yeah, we're not against this. Now the Kurds in Syria have just been massacred by al-Jawani when Trump said, we're done with you. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Head Choppers Incorporated, have fun, murder them off. So a lot of Kurds in Iraq, they're not very thrilled with this idea because they just saw what happened to their cousins and maybe their brothers and sisters just across this border they don't recognize. So that's one part. Turkey, the other major part, though, is the Turks. They don't want any independent Kurdistan in Iran because look at how much of their territory is Kurdistan. And those people want independence from Turkey.
And to make our viewers understand, the reason you're mentioning this is because the United States government wants to align with the Kurds to go in and go over the border into Iran.
Okay. Right.
And the Turks say, no, we don't. We're not going to allow that.
Exactly. They're not thrilled with that idea. At least they may be strong on it.
And they're a NATO country.
They are a NATO country. So you would have they're the second major army in NATO.
You would have two NATO countries bucking each other.
Yeah, you would. But Azerbaijan, the problem with Azerbaijan is, look at the logistics line. You'd have to go through the Black Sea, or across Turkey, across this little Trump highway that they've gotten through in Armenia, and then into Azerbaijan. The logistics is insane. And Iran is not going to sit there and wait for them to build up. As soon as they see that they're building up, and Azerbaijan would have to declare war on Iran if American forces go in, they're just preempt it.
You're an American military